All right, cool. Did you guys get started, or you just chatting?
Just chatting.
Cool.
We could start now. We can get started right now if you guys want.
Yeah,
Sound good?
Good to go.
All right, cool.
Ready to rock.
Awesome. All right, welcome to the Lunchtime Podcast, the podcast about life, lunch, and the pursuit of happiness. On today's episode of Who's on Deck, we got Justin Reyes. Justin is currently a member of the Toronto 905 NBA G League team. He was a Division II All-American. He is the best basketball player I've personally ever known myself. And he's come on today to just talk about his experience as a basketball player, his experiences kind of, in light of some recent events going on in our nation and what's been happening, across the country and with protests and all that. And Justin's got a really unique perspective, great basketball player, obviously.
You should have added to the intro. I read it the other day. One of the greatest athletes to ever don the maroon and gold, as the article put it. That must be St. Thomas colors.
Yes, it's St. Thomas Aquinas. I was actually at the dinner. You know how they have the dinner every year before the season starts. So last year I went with Ross and my dad, and there was like the old, Shaq's dad, his team that won like a national championship. So they were there, and Tobin's the coach of Stack. He was on he was making a speech about your team, like your team that went to the Elite Eight, and how that was like the best team that Stack ever had. And that whole team just erupted in disapproval of that statement that you guys were the best team Stack ever had.
Is Stack in the same division as St. Anselm's? Because I have a friend who played at St. A's.
No, they're NE10, but we played St. A's 3 years straight. One game during the regular season and then postseason for the tournament. We played them.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, you guys had a pretty crazy game against them. That was one year.
You were telling me about that, Harrison. Didn't you say it went into triple overtime, or it was back and forth towards the ending?
It was back and forth. I don't remember if it went into overtime, but it was the game after you guys played Southern Connecticut, and that game was nuts. And that ended badly. That ended badly. Let's just say that.
We lost the next game by 4 points.
That was against St. Anselm's, I think.
St. A's. And I'm not going to lie, they beat us by 28 the first time we played them. They're good.
Damn.
Yeah.
Well, Harrison, we got beat by 28 in our rec league last time we played, I think.
Yeah, that's our average differential.
We got waxed.
All right, so yeah, Justin, thanks a lot for coming on, man. It's we're gonna have some fun, but I guess just starting off, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about what's going on, obviously, in the country and how how things have been with you, how you've been kind of feeling about everything, your perspective. I know we were talking a little bit about how you grew up in Massachusetts, outside of Boston. And just kind of I guess give us your thoughts, how you feeling these days, what's going on with you.
Okay. Yeah. No. I'll just start by saying where I'm originally from, which is Bronx, New York. And in that area, it's not a particularly good area. I lived 2-3 streets away from what they call the projects. And growing up in that till I was about 11, I moved to Massachusetts to a more subtle environment, and I kind of got the best of both worlds, where I saw how much of a difference the lifestyle is. So just zooming all the way to now in time, seeing what's going on with the world and how things are, it's kind of eye-opening, because a lot of things that are being brought up, I already know and understand and have felt. But a lot of the people don't know and don't understand and haven't felt.
Us, most likely.
Huh?
Us, most
Yeah,
likely.
like us. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
Right, and it could be like but it could be anyone. It really can be
Sure.
anyone who's not really informed as to how certain people live their lifestyles just because of where they live or where they are or their environment. So seeing that at first when everything was happening with COVID, it's like one huge thing that led to George Floyd's death was huge because it was a step in a direction that for a while had been fading, like had been shoved under the rug type thing, and now people are coming together in a very special way using social media as the main
Yeah,
outlet.
I thought it was very interesting the way, like everything was totally focused on COVID-19 outbreak. World's never going to be the same, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden now, nobody's talking about that anymore. It seems like, which is honestly, it's refreshing. And instead of focusing on bad things and there's nothing we can do to stop the spread of the virus, all this and that, it actually has shifted to now it's news. It's nonstop barrage of protests and media, but it's covering something that you can actually like change. It's I feel like it's at least sparked a positive conversation, like you said, through social media, rather than just it's like doomsday every day on the same news cycle every time you turn it on. So
Right.
it's obviously it's tragic what happened, but it's obviously not about what happened. It's about how it happened and why it keeps happening and how it happened in the first place. But it's at least been interesting to see everyone sort of having a unified response.
Yeah, people are starting to see the cycle that's been going on for so many years, and you see it in the culture, in the rap culture. You see how artists for since the beginning of rap are rapping about how they're being oppressed and how they're being held back from going out into the world being who they want to be, and that not being like an athlete or an artist, like being something more.
Yeah.
It's been going on for such a long time, but for now to be seeing what's going on with the world, like not just America, like this is a worldwide thing, and it's real special because I got out of a Zoom call with the Raptors guys, our team, and they were like, yeah, anything we can do to help, we will, and this is a very important time, like to come together as people, not black, not white, not Spanish, not just coming together as people, as human beings. And like that was an eye-opener because as athletes it can get difficult like giving our voice because we have to be careful what we're posting, what we're saying, giving our opinion, because people take that and they judge us and criticize us, and that leads to our next job or it leads to what's going to happen in the future. But being in that Zoom call, it was like we're all they're like, we're with you, like we want to see change.
Were you one of the 80 plus people on Kyrie's conference call the other day? Did you hear about that?
Oh, really?
You didn't get that. You didn't get the calendar invite.
I didn't get the. They didn't send me the Zoom link.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? I guess I mean, I don't know, like if it affects kind of what you're doing or if you're still going to be training regardless or whatever. But like, what do you think about like kind of what he was saying about potentially not coming back and using this as like kind of an opportunity to get your voices heard,
I think for someone to say that as a basketball player, after not having been playing for damn near 3 months, maybe more, that's big. Because as athletes, we just want to hoop. We want to get back on that court. We want to be competitive. And for over 60 people, however many people it is, to say like, I'm with it, like to like get our voice out there and to let people know that we're serious about this, that gave me goosebumps to see it,
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, even me and Byam are like itching to get back out there. We were just talking about how we lose every game by 30 points.
just been hooping in my driveway.
Back to the old days.
Just been playing 21 with my brothers nonstop. It's like 1v2, 1v2. But
So it seems like the NBA at least has a plan going forward. Is the G League like, or how closely are you guys tied in with that? You know, is there anything that you guys have been discussed, or is it still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, like the season ended and they pretty much said like for the G League it's probably gonna be done. Like this year will probably be canceled. The season will be canceled and we'll focus on next season because just because of everything that was going on, where the NBA was like, oh, we're gonna hold off on it and we're gonna wait.
Mm-hmm.
And it all has to do with money, and you know, NBA has these big television deals with ESPN and whoever, so they have the resources to go out and make money. Where the G League, we make our money through like people coming to games and people buying our merchandise and stuff like that. So that's just not being able to play with fans. It's going to be impossible for us to make money, so they canceled the season. But the
it's
NBA
weird watching like golf was on the last couple of days, and there's zero fans. Because normally in golf, people are always yelling after a shot, and it was just dead silent. It was eerie. It'd be weird to imagine that for a basketball game.
Yep.
Yeah, and if they come back, if they do end up coming back, that's what it's. I mean, it's for us. It's gonna be different because we'll have like some crowd noise. I think like just imported for us. But I don't know. Are the players gonna have any crowd noise, or is it just gonna be like just dead silence for them? Like, and do they care? Like you said, like I feel like a lot of people just love to hoop, like that are especially in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like that's all they want to do is hoop. So do they even care about the fans, or do they just want to like get out there?
I think most of the guys just want to get out there and play, but the fans is a big part. The environment has always been a big part. The most important games are like games where the crowd is just screaming at the top of their lungs, and to not have that, it's almost like open gym or practice where you're just hearing each other talk smack to each other, and you're just playing.
Well, I mean, Toronto is one team that I feel like really thrives off that too. Like their home crowd is nuts. You got that guy that like has been to every Raptors game that sits in the front with the at the front of every Raptors game or whatever, and then you got like I don't know. I just felt like the Toronto home crowd last year like really gave them a huge boost. Were you on the team last year? Were you on the 905 last year?
No, I was with Salt Lake City last year.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but no, their crowd is sick. It's the Raptors fans in Toronto are Raptors fans, and it's cool because they don't have a state behind them; they have a country behind them. So it's Canada. It's all of Canada behind the Raptors.
What's the speaking of Canada and Salt Lake City? What's the favorite city that you've played in? Because I saw you've played like internationally too, like Puerto Rico and all this stuff. What's the favorite city you've played in?
Based on experience or like the coolest place?
I don't know. Based on, I was gonna phrase it like, what's the coolest place you've played? Like the arena with the best fans. But I guess you could expand it to favorite city you've gone to while playing basketball on the side. You know?
Oh, that's a tough one. Honestly, I played in Puerto Rico, and that was pretty cool. I liked Argentina. That was actually a really good experience. I was in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and it's a huge city, kind of like New York, like super crowded, like a lot of traffic and all that. So it was cool to see that in a whole nother country, whole nother continent.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like do you see the travel portion of like playing basketball as a chore, or is it something that you embrace as part of like the experience?
Well, I have to embrace it, but yeah, it can be a lot sometimes.
Yeah.
In the G League, we're flying 3-4 times, sometimes 4 times a week, and we have layovers as well. So it's not like one plane direct flight. Boom, it's like one plane, flight, layover, get on another plane, flight, land, go through customs every time. So it's like a chore.
Yeah.
You know, you have to
Rack up
reset the line for
racking up
touchdown.
those airline miles.
Yep.
Delta points out the ass.
A lot. And the hotel points too.
Yeah. It's a nice perk because I travel for work a lot, so not 3-4 times a week, but so I get those airline points and hotel points, and it's a nice thing to sort of sit back on, you know.
Yeah,
It makes vacations a hell of a lot
yearly
easier.
vacation. Yeah.
Yeah, Bimes been playing a lot of away games for PWC. PWC
Bro,
basketball league.
you can't say that.
Okay, I'll cut it
Also,
out.
so Justin, you said you grew up in the Bronx, and then you moved to outside of Boston. I think it was Haverhill, right?
Haverhill, yeah.
And yeah, so are you still like a New York sports fan, or were you in Boston long enough to pick up the Boston sports?
If you're from New York, you're a New York fan. I'm a New York fan. But I do like the Celtics, though. You know, I don't hate against the Celtics, but if they play in the Knicks or Brooklyn, like, I want the Knicks or Brooklyn to win.
I just hated the Celtics. I'm from Connecticut, and Zach and I actually from about the same place in Connecticut, and he's more. Zach's teams are all over the place, but I root for all Boston teams. But it's funny, Connecticut's sort of split. Half people are Boston, half are New York. But I was just gonna say, it's fun. I brought up Kyrie because I have like a vendetta against Kyrie for what he did to the Celtics last year. I just think he's a poison. But
He's Brooklyn,
he's
so
getting that rep.
Yeah, but I definitely the people that I know from New York, the Bronx. If you're from, it's funny. I actually know 2 kids from the Bronx who are Red Sox fans from school. That I know. That's what I said. How do you go back to your own like neighborhood and walk around the Bronx in a Red Sox fitted? You know, you can't do that.
Honestly, I think it's more scary walking around Boston with a Yankee jersey on than it is walking around New York with a Red Sox jersey.
Yeah, you get a bunch of drunk Irish dudes at like 11:30 in the morning, like telling you to go back to your city or whatever. And then in New York, there's so many, in Manhattan especially, there's so many transplants. So you got people walking around in like Bears jerseys, Packers. So it's less noticeable.
Yeah.
My guy, how do we get you a tryout with the Knicks? Speaking of the Knicks, because we need something to spark some energy on that team.
Man, I mean, their G League team, they have a really good setup out there in Westchester.
Westchester, right?
Yeah. They do have a good setup.
Harrison was showing us some highlights. What would you say your pro comp is, like past or present? If you're coming into the league, your pro comp.
Oh, that's a tough question.
Like, coming out with curveballs by him.
Would you say Zach? Would you say Zach LaVine? I was getting some Zach LaVine vibes.
Like me?
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh nah, that's different. No, he's too bouncy. My favorite player is Dwayne Wade. He's not in the league anymore though.
Yeah, it can be someone pass. That's fine. D-Wade's a baller. That's for sure.
I always liked his game because he was a little bit undersized, but still got the job done. And then it was back in a time where basketball was more a physical game than anything. So I really appreciate that in him, and I try to model what I do.
How have you transformed? So like in college, I felt like you were, obviously you played with kind of like a smaller lineup than obviously you're playing with now, but like just a small lineup anyway. Like even for college, like you guys generally had like you at the 4, right, and then you had somebody at the 5, but you were generally playing like more of a down low game, and I feel like now you're probably more in like what a 2-3 type of role most games, right? Have you like worked on a lot of like shooting drills and like stuff like that to kind of transform your game to like fit that position?
Yeah, I mean, in general, the NBA has become a game where they look at the statistics and they say, listen, these corner threes are the most effective, shot. So we want our team to shoot this amount per game, and it's been broken down that way. So now the game's more of a shooting game than anything. Like mid range, back then you used to see a lot of one dribble, two dribble pull ups. Nowadays, the only guys taking those mid range shots are the guys with the green light, and then everyone else is looking for the shots that are like most efficient in the coaches and stat guys' mind.
You think there'll be any rule changes? Because I saw something like with these, everyone's shooting like longer threes now. Do you think they'll make any rule changes to sort of try to bring back the mid-range shot, or is it just going to phase itself out, you think?
I think I like playing with the mid-range game because the percentages of making those shots could be lower, but if you're being competitive, it doesn't like really the percentage. I don't think changes the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
Not like avoiding taking them. I don't think is a huge deal.
Well, it should open up the rest of the floor if you can make those, right? Like if you can have someone that consistently is hitting that shot, that should open up.
Larry Bird
bank.
The Larry Bird bank shot from the 8-footer.
There are guys who can't hit a three who they step in on the line and they won't miss.
We were talking about that with DeRozan. I feel like we were talking about that with Mo at our TNBA guy. Yeah, he was saying DeRozan's one of those guys who just for some reason cannot hit the three, but steps 1 foot in and just can drain everything.
Won't miss. Right.
Could be a mental thing. It could be it's kind of weird how that works. But
the Markel Fultz yips. Poor guy.
Sad.
So are the yips a real thing?
The what?
The yips. When you obviously play basketball your whole life. You're either a shooter or or whatever your game is, and then you have a mental block and you just can't do it. Like Markel Fultz was drafted as a sharpshooter, and then he forgot how to shoot. And it's just a mental block.
Throws.
That's real. It's real because you go from, especially when you play pro, you go from being the guy, averaging 20 points and 10 rebounds, to being a rookie on a team with pros who are 25, 26, 27 years old. Some are, older. Like my first roommate as a pro in Salt Lake City was Willie Reed. This guy played in the league for 5 years. I
think that name rings a bell.
Yeah, and it was dope for me. He's like my brother because he showed me how it was, and he was my rookie year, I should have been playing way more, and he was saying this from his perspective. I should have been playing way more, and I just didn't because I just had to learn how the system worked and how it is. So you can go from being the man to not playing at all.
Would you say he's your who's been your mentor? You think, or for this whole process?
I have learned the most from a basketball player to basketball player standpoint from Willie. I have learned, and more than just basketball, just how he carries his life. He has his kids, his wife. He tries to get out there and help people out as in any way he can, and that's kind of what I want to do. It's more than basketball for me because I come from where I didn't know what the NCAA was in high school. I didn't know what the NCAA. I didn't know any of that stuff until I had to fill out paperwork for the NCAA. So I think that he wants to get out and help people and show them, that they can do things. And that's what I want to do because I didn't know that I could do the things I've done.
Yeah, that's good that there's a culture of support, because I feel like in development leagues, whether it's the minor league baseball or basketball, the G League, I feel like it can feel competitive, but it's nice to hear that there's cutthroat and competitive, but it's nice to hear that there's guys who are out supporting each other and looking out for each other.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So you were just talking a little bit about like even like how you didn't even know what the NCAA process, recruitment process was. How did you end up at Stack, and like what were like the kind of the looks you were getting coming out of high school? Because I was always curious, like kind of how you just and they do a great job, right? Like Jules, we were talking about Jules before. Jules is from Australia. Like they get people from all over the world to come play at
Yeah.
Stack, which is just kind of, I don't know, I guess a little surprising. Like I felt like if I was kind of looking at it from an outside perspective, it would be mostly New York kids, I would imagine. But they really do get a diverse set of kids to come play there. So I'm just curious, like how that landed for you.
Yeah, I mean, my coach Tobin Anderson does a phenomenal job with recruiting, and he really focuses on that. When it's time to focus on recruiting, he's on it like a hawk. So that's all him, to be honest, and his connections throughout the years. But me, how I got to Stack was I was a late bloomer with basketball. I didn't make varsity till I was a sophomore, and I didn't start until like the end of my sophomore year. And then my junior and senior year, I did better. But I was at a Division III high school. Competition wasn't crazy. So I got recruited by like literally all Division III schools, all D3. And it was cool because like I didn't expect to get recruited at all. I was just playing basketball, and then there's this guy standing when I come up the locker room. He's like, "Hey, like, do you want to play for this school?" I'm like, "What?"
That's cool.
But my senior year, it was a whole bunch of Division III schools, and ultimately, I had decided in my head that I was going to go to Salem State. And that summer, I go to a 5-star basketball camp, and at that camp, this guy Howard Garfinkel sees me playing, and he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, like, what year are you? What's your plan for college?" I'm like, "Yeah, like I got recruited by all D3s. So I'm supposed to be going to this D3 school, like, and starting there and going from there." And he was like, "Look, you have some real talent and real potential. Like, let me make a couple of phone calls for you." And I left the camp the next day, not thinking of it. And I'm at my aunt's house, and I get a phone call. "Whoa, it's a team in Chicago." And then another call, a team somewhere else. And then I get a call from a team in New York. And I'm in New York. I'm not in Massachusetts. It's like, "Yeah, I'd like to get you up for a visit, this and that. Like, we could talk about getting you up here and you could save money with college and this and that." And I did it. I went. I practiced. Like, it was like a little like workout. Like, I was just shooting around or whatever. And that's how I got to Stack. It was like last second, like I was about to go into college, like at another school, and then Stack came up, and I was ever since then.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
it's crazy. All those great teams, honestly, like that you guys had, like were centered around you. If we're being completely honest, right? I mean, obviously you had a great team around you, but you also like without you, it's like kind of like it feels like it wouldn't have been the same, So that's wild. I did not know any of that.
Yeah, I really. It was like I really wasn't even supposed to be there. Like yeah. I was supposed to be there because everything was done the right way, but the way things were my senior year in school, I was supposed to go to Division III college. I was recruited for a Division III college, no D2. There was one D2, but it was a junior college, and I did not want to go to junior college.
And then you were an All-American when? Was that your junior year or senior year or both? I don't know. Both. I don't even remember. Both.
Yeah.
Crazy. Howard Garfunkel making a great recruiting call there.
Yeah. No, yeah, he did great. When I got
give that man a raise.
when I got All Met Player of the Year, he would come to those dinners and we would talk about how it all happened, and it's really crazy. It's a crazy story because not a lot of people like get recruited like last second and make a career out of themselves. And I had to redshirt my first year.
If you could play for any college coach, who would it be? I have one. If I was a college basketball player, I'll let you answer first. Maybe Harrison and Zach can go. But if you could pick any team, any coach, who would you play for?
Damn.
Because mine personally, I would want to play for Jim Calhoun. Jim Calhoun at UConn, like in the heydays, like
I
the
was gonna
early
say
2000s. Yeah.
I was gonna say UConn because it's not too far from home.
Yeah.
But I also like Duke.
Dude, Coach K. Yeah,
Yeah,
Coach K, he's such a polarizing figure, but I like him. Yeah.
Well, like, it has less to do with, the people they recruit or their organization. It's how they train. That's all I look at is how they train, how intense it is. When you see videos of them working, they're working. They're sweating their butts off and they're working hard.
I think Zach and I were talking, is Kevin Ollie the worst coach to ever win a national championship? Because he just won with all of Jim Calhoun's recruits and then sucked for 6 years.
No comment.
Harrison, speaking of Duke, Harrison said you played with Grayson Allen at one point. Is that true?
Yeah, he was with the Jazz. He got drafted to the Jazz, I think. I don't know if he got drafted there or traded there, but he was with the Jazz while I was with Salt Lake City, and they would send him down. He would practice with us and we would play.
Yeah.
How was that playing with him? Because there was his buzz was crazy, obviously coming out of college, right? Like nuts. Was it fun playing with him?
He's a good guy. He's a very cool person. Like chill,
I believe
laid back.
He's just scrappy on the court. That's his style. People hate him for it, but as an undersized, what is he? He's not even a point guard, right? He's like a 2-2. So he's gotta be scrappy. You gotta make up for. It's not the was it the dog in the fight? It's the fight of the dog, right?
Right. Yeah. So that's why he got like a bad, not necessarily bad, but that's why he got the rep he did. But he's a cool person. He would come down and practice with us, and then he would get assigned down to us and play, and we would get buckets. Like
it does seem like when you're the white guy from Duke, you're just you instantly just get the brand as evil, like him, Leitner, JJ Redick, and they're not that they're probably a little overhyped.
Did Redick ever get that?
Yeah.
He had that rep.
Oh yeah, he's is he still with Philly? The Sixers, JJ Redick.
Yeah.
So,
I think pretty sure.
Yeah.
So if you could play with one player, it could be either someone you have played with already, somebody from college, whatever, or like somebody from the NBA. We could do either one. Who would you want to play with and why? Who do you think best suits your game to play with?
Play with or
like someone to play with you, like on your team.
Taco Fall. That'd be awesome.
I'm not gonna lie. If I could do a year playing with someone, I would want to see, but it would have to be his first year. Trae Young.
Ooh.
He's
like
wild.
him got to where how he is now. Like, see his work ethic and see if it just comes to him and stuff like that. Like that interests me, like to see.
So not LeBron.
Is interesting.
Not LeBron.
Nah, maybe like
Harrison loves LeBron. He's one of those guys.
What's not to love?
Can we make that our post? Justin Reyes says he would not play with LeBron.
He would rather play with Trae Young than LeBron. No, but honestly, Trae Young.
I'd play with LeBron if he was with Dwayne Wade in Miami. I would have that year.
Oh yeah, I'm surprised you didn't say Dwayne Wade. No, but Trey's a good answer. I feel like Trae Young came into the league and people kind of had this underwhelming expectation of him. Like, he's not like, he thinks he's like Steph Curry. Like, he can't do what he does in college and the NBA.
He can hit D3 though.
I was that guy. I was like, this he's like, he looks skinny. Like he doesn't look super strong. He doesn't look super, super fast, but then you see him play and it's like, oh.
He's done a fair share of putting up numbers on the Knicks, so yeah. I've seen it firsthand. Like it's not pretty when we play him.
What other players are from Oklahoma? The only other one I can think of is Buddy Hield and.
I played with Buddy.
Oh, you did? He was. I remember watching. I think it was the NCAA tournament that year. He put on a clinic. And he's at the Kings now, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of stinks seeing these players go to these organizations where they don't get any airtime because they're playing Trae Young's in Atlanta and Buddy Hield's in Sacramento, so you never see them. But they're phenomenal, obviously. And Blake Griffin is the only other one I can think of.
Yeah.
But SEC.
So you're getting.
Oh, no, they're not in the SEC. They're big football anyway.
Big 12.
Big 12. Yeah.
So you're getting back into training right now, right? That's why you're out in California, going back, getting back to work. Nice. So what is like the main thing you want to like start, working on? Obviously playing, I'm sure, is like obviously your top priority, but just like in general, like what's like the thing that you've been trying to like just improve, I guess, part of your game?
Well, like you said, I played a bigger position in college. So ever since I got out of school, it's like, and it's not that I can't shoot, but I was just do so well on the inside that I didn't really have to do that. So that was the first thing. It's like you got to get used to and comfortable with shooting.
The amount of fakes.
I had a similar transformation in my game in high school. I've been the same height. I've been like 5'11" since like 7th grade. So I was always the biggest kid. So I just played center. And then all of a sudden everyone grew and I didn't. And so I'm like, wait, I got to learn how to dribble. I got to learn how to shoot.
Right.
I feel like everyone goes through that.
It's the pump, like your main move, I felt like from the outside, like pump fake and people would just like fly by you and then dribble and dunk like that. It was every time. It worked every time. Like, because players that, they don't know like that you're not really looking to shoot, even like, when you're not, you're going to drive, like, especially in college, like you knew you were going to drive every single time pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, guys would know I'm not gonna shoot and still bite at the pump fake, and like just even if they just raised up a little, I knew I had the space now to go by him, because as soon as they come up, I know that it's gonna be hard for them to move laterally or sideways. So, I mean, but now, my shot is like a main focus and being comfortable shooting. I think I've gotten to a point where I'm comfortable with shooting, and now it's just knocking them down, that's just going to come in time. One thing I've learned as a pro is you got to be in the best shape possible, and that's what I got to do. So quarantine, I could have gained 10 pounds, gained 15 pounds. My goal was to lose some weight. Because I had come off an injury and I had just got back to my playing weight, or like a little bit more than my playing weight, but I saw how much of a toll it took on my body to that extra weight, because I went from 205 to 217, and then I had to lose that. Yeah. And then I got to 208 and I felt better. I was jumping higher. I was running better, smoother. And I realized, like, if I get in shape and my body weight is where it needs to be, then everything else will be a little bit easier.
I haven't seen any pictures of Zion during quarantine. You think he's been able to keep that weight off? Because he's a big boy. Everyone always says he could. It'll do his knees and everything wonders if he drops a couple pounds. But he's a freak, so who knows?
Yeah, his body's just built that way, and they have the best care in the NBA. They know he's on a diet. He's quarantined, but he's working out every day. He's getting the meals he needs to get in. He's getting his lifts in. He's doing all of those things because he has those resources. So I think, he's going to come back and you're going to see some crazy dunks and all of that. And people are going to eventually stop doubting him.
Have you guys seen these skinny James Harden pictures?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, and Jokic. Did you?
And Jokic. Yeah. It's wild.
Harrison, do you want to move into the segments?
Yeah, I just had one. Yeah, one other question that I wanted to ask before we get into the segments. What's like? I guess maybe this is kind of a hot plate, I guess. But what's your favorite basketball memory, like of you playing, like in a game? Like, what's your favorite in-game, like game memory? I guess. It might be tough, but
it's just a funny memory more than like it's not my favorite necessarily, but it's a pretty funny one. It was my first game playing I was with Salt Lake City, and we played against Santa Cruz Warriors, the Warriors G League team. And at this point, I had earned some minutes, and I had been doing good for a few games, and I was playing confidently. And we're playing in the Jazz Arena now. We have over 4,000 people there. And we're up like 16, and I get a fast break, and I windmilled it. And dunked it. And Damian Lee, like, they called the timeout right after I dunked it. You know, like, just what team is
doing? So down.
Yeah. Damian Lee, after they called the timeout, grabs the ball and whips it at my back. It's like pissed off.
Wow. Yeah, you got in Damian Lee's head. It's still affecting him to this day. You see him out there on the court. He's got that image just ingrained in his mind, probably.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Did any technical foul, like fight break out after that, or was it just?
No, I looked at him weird, like, "You serious?" And then just kept walking. So, I mean, we were up 18, so it hurt him more than it hurt me.
You incite some emotions out of your opponents. I'll tell you that. Like just knowing from like some other games that I've seen you guys play, like
I get under
people get pissed. Yeah. Do you talk trash on the court?
Ooh.
Well, if I have to, if someone starts talking to me, I'm gonna start talking back. And the thing is, I'm gonna back it up because I played defense crazy. You know how my college coach was. Like, if it wasn't perfect, we were starting all over. So I'm
full
playing
court
defense
press.
on you. Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I was gonna say, like, I have like a couple like just like memories of like just watching you guys play, and one of them was we were talking about the Southern Connecticut game, and I'm not gonna get into like what happened after that, but the game itself, like we have something that we didn't make it up. Someone else made it up. This guy Harvey, and it's called the Harvey Rule. And basically, what it means is that if you're up by double the amount of points or double the amount of time in points, so say there's 10 minutes left in the game, if you're up by 20 and you have the ball, you're like 99%
game's over.
Like game's over.
Yeah. Harvey Rule's in effect.
You guys did that with like 12. I think there was like 12 minutes left in the game, and you guys were up on Southern Connecticut by like 25, 30 points. And I was like, I turned to my dad, and my cousin was there too, and I was like, game's over. They clawed back so quickly, and I was like, I jinxed this game. And when Chaz hit that buzzer beater, that running floater that he always hits, and you knew was I kind of knew was going in
every time.
But like that was the crazy. I was like, see, Harvey Rule, like it works every time. That was the craziest game, and then Tobin's fist. That was fun, man. That was cool.
Harvey, we gotta start keeping stats. The Harvey Rule's got to be like 98%.
Yeah.
I thought it was like you under 10 minutes, but I guess it applies.
I don't know.
However long.
No, any time.
Anytime. Okay.
Just double the minutes left.
Yeah, I
with
remember
possession.
just being like, shit,
Over.
I definitely just jinxed this. But that was fun, man. That was cool. All right, yeah. So unless anyone else has any questions, let's move on to some segments. So we got this one that's called Portobello Veggie Wrap. Basically, it's kind of like our pet peeves, and the reason we call it Portobello Veggie Wrap is like if you've ever been to like a catered lunch and you see all the wraps, and like if you're running a little late, the wraps that are left are usually like, you know, the wraps that don't have any meat in them, like the veggie wraps, the mushroom wraps, like that type of thing. So we just felt like that was a good name since we're kind of catered around the lunch the lunch theme,
the lunch
here.
Experience.
The lunch experience. So it's kind of like a pet peeve. So we're gonna try to cater it towards basketball right now. You know, it could be anything though, but basically so the first question, I guess, is one rule or something about basketball. Maybe it's something about the G League, the way things are run in the G League, something that you would change.
Okay. This year, so did you realize, or are you guys aware like of how you have the one challenge rule in the game in the NBA now?
The one
Like
I didn't know that.
there's one play a game.
Yeah, you could
where
challenge. Yeah, I knew
you
that.
challenge and then you could get it reversed. Well, the G League is basically the testing for all those rules. And the challenge rule was in the G League prior to it being in the NBA. And then this year, they were trying a new rule, which was one free throw. So you get fouled taking a shot, going to take a shot. You don't get 2 free throws. You get 1 free throw for 2
Ooh.
points.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
We'll change it back to
Damn.
free throws, though. Yeah, it's crazy. They wanted to shorten the time of games. And I guess it shortened games like 20 minutes, 24 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
So you think they should install that in the NBA, or you're saying they should get rid of that for the G League?
I say keep like that should always be 2 free throws. They say that free throw percentages, if they dropped, it didn't drop that much.
Huh.
But it can't always be just about the statistics.
But what happens if you get fouled and you make the shot? Then the free throw is.
Then you get 1 free throw for 1 point.
Okay.
Huh.
But if you shoot a 3-pointer and you get fouled at the 3-point line, you get 1 free throw for 3 points.
Oh, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of crazy.
Bob's been working on his free throw, so he actually likes this for himself, for his game.
Another part to that rule is, I think you only the last 2 minutes of the game is when they stop the clock.
So it's like pickup rule. It's like rec league rules. Running clock until the last like 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Huh.
Gotcha. So
well, they're stopping for timeouts and stuff like that. Actually, no, I don't think they ran the clock. I forgot what it was.
That'd be interesting. Yeah.
Under 2 minutes, you foul, then you go to the line or something like that. I forget.
So I had a more traditional portobello veggie wrap. It's my gripe. I was watching SportsCenter this morning, and it's awful watching these the anchors try to commentate sports that they never have before because it's all that's on. So they're like they're showing like New Zealand rugby games. And they don't even know the guy just kicked it through the uprights. They don't even know like the terminology or rules. And like the highlights on SportsCenter this morning, it was like New Zealand rugby, women's UFC, just one, and it was such a lopsided fight. Just this one woman just got the shit beat out of her. And you're like, well, she won that. and then it was just like NASCAR. Those are the only 3 highlights they had. It was awful. They were in way over their heads. It was awful to watch. So that was my gripe for today.
Yeah, when we did this, I had one. What was mine for the NBA? I want them to get rid of defensive 3 seconds. I think it would just make the game so much more physical. In my opinion, I don't know if that would work, but maybe they'll try it out in the G League.
No, it would. It would work. That's I don't know if I like that or not. I'm a physical player. I like that, but you have guys who are 7 feet 4 inches.
Yeah.
But if they're sitting in the paint, I don't know. It wouldn't work.
Yeah, maybe not.
In Puerto Rico, there's basically no 3 seconds. When I played in Puerto Rico, there's basically no 3 seconds. Guys are just sitting in there, and it makes it very difficult to go in there and just because Puerto Rico is a physical league.
They got to do something to bring back the physicality, though. Like it's honestly getting to a point where like it was fun to see how much the scoring has increased. The past. It's been increasing since like pretty much like that 04 Pistons era, like those teams, like the scores have been increasing ever since then. Like, but the defense is crazy. And the reason people like the excuse I'll say that people don't like basketball is that it's become so much less defensive and like nobody like really like cares about defense. It's just more about who's better on offense versus who's better on defense. But it's fun like watching those old teams, like even like I was watching like the old Lakers Celtics finals from like 2010.
Anything with
and
Shaq.
they were like,
Anything with
like
Shaq is like center porn.
That wasn't even Shaq though. It was just like the Lamar Odom, like Lamar Odom, Andrew Bynum, like those guys, and it was like
Lamar
the final
Odom,
score
who was on crack. Favorite Stephen A. Smith quote.
But it's like it was so much more fun, like to watch that. Like, and it was so scrappy. Like even 10 years ago, and this final score was like 90-70. But I thought it was just so much better. Like the quality of points. Like when you got a bucket, it was like a good bucket. Like it was like you had to get open. You had to like actually work for it.
It's a grind.
Versus now, Trae Young just pulls up from 45 feet and splash every single time.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Zach, you have anything for that one? Portobello?
Nothing's bothering
anything pissing you off? Get it off your chest.
Too many timeouts. Like, so many commercials to watch. Just cut down the timeouts a little bit.
Yeah. Well, they were talking about doing shorter timeout times. I think they're gonna try to do that in the G League and see how that goes. Yeah, shorter timeout times instead of I think you get a minute. They're gonna cut it down to 45 seconds. And then the 30 seconds. Yeah, one less ad.
State Farm, and Chris Paul aren't going to like that very much.
No.
So our next thing is called Hot Plate, and we've kind of gone through a lot of these questions. Basically, like our debate topics are just like questions that we're curious about. But who are you? So since our boys, the Knicks, or I guess maybe Brooklyn would be your second choice, but who are you rooting for when the NBA comes back? I don't even know who I'm not. I guess these guys would be like LeBron stan, but I don't know who I'm gonna root for.
I'm with the Raps. I like
yeah. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Do you know any of those guys?
It's kind of crazy how. Go ahead. It's a better question.
No, I was just curious. Like, do you know any of the players?
They had signed a couple of the guys. They signed Malcolm Miller, Stanley Johnson this year, and DeJuan Hernandez. So, they're the Raptors' younger guys, but the Raptors in general are a young team, and they have Fred VanVleet, Chris Boucher, and
he's a monster.
Siakam. I think they all played for the Raptors G League team. So it's an organization who they value the G League.
They develop players. They actually develop players.
That's the process.
It's a beautiful thing. I like that team.
Awesome. Yeah. Sorry, Chris. What were you gonna say? I cut you off.
No, I was just gonna say it's crazy how they're so resilient. They lost arguably the best player in the NBA, and they didn't fade into nothing. They're still competitive. Although I guess the East isn't as good as the West, obviously, but still.
If Nick Nurse doesn't win Coach of the Year, it's what is the award then? Like I don't know like what else you can do. Like
he's the coolest dude too.
You met him?
Yeah, he would come to our game. He would come to games. He came to a lot of games this year actually.
Yeah.
There you go. Like they really do value that. That shows it right there.
Whenever the guys were signed, whenever the guys NBA guys were signed, it was like almost a bet that Nick was going to be there watching.
I was going to say, what are the best and worst NBA cities?
Okay. Not for nothing, but there's not much in Fort Wayne.
Fort Wayne.
I can't imagine. Yeah,
know,
where is Fort Wayne?
Oh, in Indiana.
Texas? Oh, Pacers.
I was gonna say Kentucky, but I was like, that's definitely wrong.
Yeah, when your NBA team is named after like a race car, you're like, there's probably not much to do out there. Like the Pacers, it's Indiana's like the race car city, I think, or race car state.
What was your favorite place to go? Like in terms of, I guess whenever you had a game, like traveling, like just go play in a city.
In the G League?
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously like going to New York because I got my family there. I got y'all. Like, a lot of people show up to my games when I'm in New York. But Oklahoma is such a cool city. I like Oklahoma a lot. Yeah.
I have heard a lot of people say Oklahoma City is a nice area.
Yeah, it is. It's real chill. They got a lot of restaurants, a lot of things to do. The weather is usually pretty nice. And then Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz is sick.
Yeah. That sounds like a nice place.
Yeah.
What other? Yeah. I was thinking, is LA? Would you consider Harrison? Would you consider LA is LA a basketball city? It's certainly not. It's certainly not a football city. It's certainly not it's soccer. Is it basketball?
I mean, I don't live there, so I guess I don't really know. But you see movies like White Men Can't Jump, right? And but you go to LA and that's actually how it is. Like people playing on the beach, like on the courts outside the beach, like all the time, like just like intramural like that, or like pick up ball. But also at the same time, like Lakers Nation, like is crazy. So
I feel like they're trying to force LA into a football city, and it's just not.
I mean, they're a surfing beach city, but if you're talking about what professional sport they like the most, I would say over baseball and football, it's got to be basketball, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah, Dodgers
have blown too many chances.
Ultimate choke artists. They just can't beat the Red Sox. That's their Achilles heel.
How do you like Toronto? How do you like living in Toronto? I've been there before. Very nice city.
It's beautiful. The people. I mean, I loved it. I didn't go out much, but I did a bunch of exploring, and just what I love the most is the people, like the culture, and it's so diverse in a different way. Like I'm from New York, so I grew up with Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and like people like that are of my heritage, but in Toronto, it's like just completely differently, like it's diverse in a completely different way, but the people are so accepting and so cool, and the food is different, but like really good. Yeah, I like it. I like Toronto.
Nice, man. All right. Well, this was so fun. This was awesome to get to talk to you. I don't know if Chris or Zach, you had any other questions for Justin, but I said, man, it was fun having you on.
Great.
Gotta get you back on, and like I said, we'll work on the Knicks thing. We'll work on it because we need something, man. I don't know if who it is or what it is, but we need some sort of saving grace at this point.
Yeah.
But let me I'll be right back. I'm gonna go see what I think Ross is like trying to say what's up. But
Ross.